I just got done watching the new Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown, and unfortunately, it doesn't change my opinions about music biopics at all. In no ways do I consider myself a movie critic, I'm just a big fan of music. So when I hear there's going to be a movie about one of my favorite things, music, let alone the musician, I get very excited. I try to guess which songs they're going to perform in the movie, which pivotal moments they're going to show in the artist's life and how they show it, which actors they're going to pick, and do they even look like the musician. I remember so many times when the Bob Marley movie came out that people were telling me, "You look like Bob Marley. Have you seen the Bob Marley movie? You should have been the lead actor." And I personally don't think I look like the Bob Marley actor or the actual musician, but it was something that I guess a big fan of Bob Marley would be proud about, I guess. Like, I didn't really care, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And the movie was, let's just say, bomba clap. But if done poorly, all that can be excused if they execute top tier on one thing. And that's the storytelling / writing of the movie. A lot of these music biopics just unfortunately don't deliver when it comes to that aspect. They leave you feeling like you don't even know the artist that you're a fan of. A lot of the times I come into these movies thinking I'm going to become a bigger fan because as a music head, a person who made a music YouTube channel, I come in thinking that I know a lot of knowledge about some of my favorite artists and thinking that these music biopics, sometimes even in partnership with the actual artist, is going to tell me something I didn't know. And unfortunately, it feels like you're just watching Wikipedia live action. You don't feel like anything new. Sometimes they exaggerate things that you might have thought were not a big deal. And sometimes they even add fantasy or unrealistic things that didn't happen in the person's life that are just like, how could that happen? They've already explained that that's not how they met. Like the Bob Dylan in the first introduction scene, like he didn't meet that artist in the hospital bed when he can't even talk. Like that's not how they met. But people like to say that it's just movie, it's just to make it a little bit more dramatic so people are more engaged. Like people are not going to engage a really talented person's life in, childhood if they don't have background. But unfortunately, they just keep sticking to the same formula. They need to switch it up. They need to do something different. Some music biopics have, but unfortunately, not enough execution was done to show that this is something that they can do. It shows a lot when the best movie in a genre is a parody movie. Have you guys ever watched the Walk the Line by Dewey Cox, the parody about music biopics? It shows you all the stereotypes about music biopics, and it just shows you how this genre needs a lot of work. I guess this really shows you the effect that the Hollywood protests have on the movies. Like the writers are really showing you that you guys can't make good movies without us. And it really shows because I couldn't remember the last movie that really impacted me. And I'm just a casual movie fan, so take my advice or my opinions like with a grain of salt. If you're a big movie fan, you guys can let me know some good movies that have came out in the recent years. But I think something that has to change about the music biopics at least is that they have to at least be memorable. The Elton John movie was a little bit memorable because there was a lot of like psychedelic kind of like visuals, like him floating, a lot of weird things going on, but it was good. But the worst offender I've seen of this just follow the formula constantly and just really proving to us why music biopics are trash is the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. If you didn't watch the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, it's about the band Queen from the 70s, 80s. They made great rock and roll and disco music. Everybody knows Queen. You've all heard the songs. We're not here to talk about the music. We're here to talk about the movie. Unfortunately, the movie plagues on the common music biopic tropes, which are traumatic background in terms of like childhood and stuff like that. They get famous, they have a first wife or they have a first love interest, and that doesn't pan out. And then they go on to really express how they really are. In the Bohemian Rhapsody case, it's him exploring his sexuality in terms of homosexuality and all that stuff. And then he gets to make a great song, like some great album or just the pinnacle of their success comes out being the song Bohemian Rhapsody. And then they do a great performance at the end. If you look at all the biopic movies, they all follow that same exact order. Literally, Elton John is the same way with Rocket Man. Bob Marley's the same way with his movie called One Love. The Bob Dylan one recently is a little bit different, but it still kind of has similar formulas of like a great ending with a great performance at some, pivotal concert or festival. And unfortunately, it just doesn't leave much up to the audience to really feel like they know the artist or anything new. Now, this may sound a little hypocritical, but some music biopics actually execute the formula that I keep talking about pretty well. For example, Straight Outta Compton does a good job of this by not showing too much of the childhood of the, main characters of the group NWA. They just show us by giving us a good, summary, by basically showing kids getting robbed or harassed by gangbangers on a bus going to school, or basically a drug dealer getting chased by the cops trying to sell drugs, obviously. So it kind of sums up what Compton was like and why they're straight out of it pretty quickly and straight to the music. What they spend more time on is the making of the music and the dealings with the management and all the police encounters they had on tour. All that stuff makes the music way more colorful and way more serious of a situation for these artists than it did before, which is why it was way more impactful than the music biopics that came during its time. For example, Queen did a scene in their movie where they're showing the band members make the Bohemian Rhapsody song, the high-pitched note stuff, that stuff really didn't hit as hard. It just felt corny or cringy. I get it, it's a very classic moment in music to see that part done in, in movie history or whatever, but it didn't make me care more about that part of the song than seeing Fuck the Police being performed and the cops are in the stage and they're rushing the stage. They're in the crowds waiting for them to perform and telling them, if you perform it, we're going to arrest you. Seeing that was wow, these people were really out to get them. But Queen hitting high notes, I feel like they could have chose way more iconic moments in Queen's history than them doing the Hallelujah part or whatever, the Mamma Mia part. But that's just me. You guys tell me. Maybe you guys like that part. I don't know. But I didn't really care for it. What I'm basically trying to get at is that music biopics need to stop showing us what we don't care about. We don't want to see Wikipedia in a movie format about these artists and musicians and groups. We want to see things that we didn't know about them. And maybe they don't want to expose that things about them because that will change how we view the band and the musicians. I get it. But at the same time, if it's been 50, 60 years from now, do we really care? At this point, most of them are probably going to be dead anyways by the time the movie comes out. For example, if they were to do a Kurt Cobain movie, we don't want to see Nirvana's journey from Washington and Seattle to becoming the biggest band in the 90s to doing their last song maybe at MTV Unplugged, their most iconic concert, I guess you could say. But what would we rather see is Kurt Cobain and what led him to his ultimate final decision in life, what led him to taking him out of the game for YouTube purposes. But will they ever expose that? Probably not. It would be hard to adapt things that they don't know. If there's no diary or if there was nobody that Kurt Cobain talked about or talked to when it comes to his mental issues, I don't want to see a lot of fantasy and a lot of unrealistic things that are not true or, just filler to kind of fill in the gaps between Kurt Cobain's episodes and things like that. I don't want to see that kind of stuff either, which I guess I'm being picky at this point, being I want my cake and eat it too. But just don't approach it at the same kind of formula. For example, the Beach Boys music biopic, the Brian Wilson one, they did a great job of it. They showed him when he was in the 60s doing the Pet Sound stuff and the psychedelic era of his life, and then the 80s era of his life when he was led by this cult therapist leader guy. They did a great job of it. It's super underrated. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch Love and Mercy. It's a great music biopic. I think it's super underrated. The Elton John movie attempted this, but let's be real, the focus on his drug addiction and his alcohol problem and the problem of him being himself didn't really hit as hard as it could have been. They kind of missed the mark. For example, when it came to the overdose scene, they didn't really let that sink in that Elton John is suffering an overdose. I'm a big music head. I try to read as many documentaries. I try to watch as many documentaries as possible. I try to get informed with some of my favorite artists. But I never knew Elton John went through an overdose. And maybe I just didn't find the right sources, but let me know if you guys knew that. But the fact that Elton John went through an overdose and they're singing and singing Rocket Man, and there's just kind of like this theatrical performance of it, kind of took away the seriousness of the situation. Like, if somebody's going through an overdose, you expect it to get silent, dark. For once in his life, the music shouldn't be a focus. Like, that's kind of what led him to the overdose. Like, the fame, the luxuries of life. Like, he just couldn't escape it, and he couldn't be real with anybody. He couldn't be loved. But no, the directors wanted people. What the fuck is this damn helicopter? Move, motherfucker, I'm trying to make a video. Anyways, when it came to Elton John's overdose, like, the theatrical musical performance of it just took away the seriousness, in my opinion. And you kind of just like sitting there like, oh, well, he lived, so I guess he'll be all right, you know, like, he's chilling. And then the very next scene right after that, he's in a rehab and he seems fine. Like, he's, you know, talking about like, oh, I'm doing better. I'm being myself. Like, you can even tell with his tracksuit. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's wearing a Puma jacket in the circle and the Puma tracksuit. But on the Puma sign, it's like still bedazzled jewels. So there's still an aspect of that old Elton John. Like, that's always going to be within him. But now he's learned how to tone it down. And he's learned how to be more mature, I guess you could say. He's no more of that rambunctious temper tantrum, like, celebrity musician who has a super big ego. Like, he's changed in a way. I guess that's a subtle way of putting it. But they didn't let the audience see any of that progression. We didn't see the nights where he's struggling with his sobriety. We didn't see the nights where he's trying to take accountability with anything. He just switches. And then his old writer friend comes around and he says, man, it's good to see you doing better. Here are some songs. Write these songs for us. Like, it's just like, what? Like, nigga, like, no, like, how you doing? Like, I'm good to see you. Like, maybe you should retire. You know, you made a lot of money. You know, just live your life. You know, try to find somebody to love you, and which he later on found out in later life. Like, now he has a partner and all that. But that's beside the point. The point is the movie, and the sequence of the movie is just too fast paced and just too sporadic for me. And maybe I'm just overanalyzing an Elton John movie, but like, am I the only one who feels like that? Apparently, Michael Jackson is supposed to be getting a biopic coming out later this year, and I swear, if I see a Joe Jackson scene where he's beating on the Jackson 5, I'm just gonna walk out of the movie, because while it might be interesting to see Jackson's childhood or to see Michael Jackson walk out of a court case for a crime he didn't do, it's super predictable. We don't need to see things that we already know, which I've been reiterating myself, and I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, and saying it the whole video. But overall, I think music biopics need to bring something new to the table, like all the other genres of film out there. They need to stop reiterating the same formula with just different characters, and stop giving these actors the role to give us lackluster imitation karaoke scenes of them singing their greatest hits of the artist. Like, if I wanted to hear Freddie Mercury sing Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't need to go see the actor sing it. Realistically, let's be real. But without further ado, to finish off this video, let's do a tier list of music biopics. First off, let's start off with the Jimi Hendrix movie, All Is By My Side. Came out in 2013. Andre 3000 is playing Jimi Hendrix. I think that should be an A just for that fact in general. But the only thing that is bad about the movie, aside from the screenwriting and stuff like that, has to do with the way Andre 3000 plays the guitar. It's so noticeable that he's not hitting the right notes and he's just doing whatever. He might have some guitar knowledge, which he has shown in his previous albums, like on Speakerbox, Love Below, on Prototype. I'm pretty sure Andre 3000 is playing the guitar, but nowhere near the level of Jimi Hendrix. Okay, so we have that one. That's what did I rank that? That's an A. After that, we have the new Bob Dylan movie, Complete Unknown. I'll give that a C. I think it's good off the first watch, but if you know Bob Dylan's story, you know, like the environment of the years of that time and stuff like that, it kind of is like a lot of fantasy in certain parts, and there's also kind of like just the cinematography is just really well done. That's like the only achieving thing, but once you've watched it one time, you don't really need to watch it most of the times. So C for that one. Bohemian Rhapsody movie, Queen, that has to be That has to be an F, low-key. I think it's the worst music biopic. Like, just bad pacing, unnecessary like moments, and just like really just the build up to Live Aid. Like, we don't really build a connection with any of the characters. So yeah, I think it's the worst biopic for sure. Next we have Rocket Man, the Elton John movie that just, I think that's the one that came out before the Bob Dylan one. So Rocket Man, I would have to give it a, I think it deserves a, ooh, this is hard. It follows the same formula that I've been complaining about all throughout, this video. But the cinematography, the psychedelic looking visuals is really cool. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B for now, and if I think I can give it some more grace, maybe I'll bump it up today. But I think it's a B for sure. The Bob Marley one, One Love, unfortunately, I have to give it a C. It's just bad pacing, just like, I don't really care for anybody in the movie, and I'm a Bob Marley fan, so I know the story. And the fact that they chose to end it at that concert instead of like him dying of cancer, just really, I don't like when they do at the end of the movies like Bob Marley never made it to Jamaica, so he died in 1981. I don't like when they give us like a synopsis of after their life. Like, if they died, end the movie with them dying. Don't end it with like some summary of their life after what you've shown us. Like, just finish the movie. After this, we have the Cobain movie, the Kurt Cobain one, Lost Days, that came out in like 2005. That's a D. Just all around boring, and just, I couldn't sit through that movie for a long time. It's better than Bohemian Rhapsody because it's 2005, so you don't really expect much from it. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't put less expectations because it's an older movie, and then more expectations on a newer movie. Even though I feel like they should have, cracked the code by now. But that one was a D, maybe an F even, low-key. The Johnny Cash one, Walk the Line, I think that's what it's called, or Walk Hard or something like that. I mistake the Johnny Cash movie with the Dewey Cox one because like the beginning movies is like pretty similar to the whole Johnny Cash story. I like Johnny Cash's movie. I think that was a good one. That was a B, another good one. 8 Mile by Eminem, that's an S tier. Great moments, great story. I think they really nailed the mark on that one, and it's accompanied with the Eminem songs and stuff like that. So I think 8 Mile is the only good music biopic that comes straight to my head. So that's an S tier for sure. Now we have the other Bob Dylan movie, I'm Not There, the one with all like the different Bob Dylans. Like, that one was kind of interesting approach. I give it that. They did experiment. That's what I've been wanting for. So I have to give it at least a C. But it is better than the new one. So I'll give it a B just for the fact that they tried something different. Ray Charles, the Ray Charles one, Jamie Foxx. Cool at the time, I guess. But looking back at it, I rewatched it. It's a C. I don't think it's really much to live for. Straight Outta Compton, the NWA one, that's an A. Great movie, great story. I think they did a good job of that. And a lot of the artists had their input, even though apparently there's some infactual, like, wrong things about the movie, but regardless, it was still a good movie. Love and Mercy, Brian Wilson. I want to give it an S. I just feel like the Brian Wilson actor, he was actually a really good Brian Wilson. Okay, I'll give it an S. Yeah, it's an S. It's one of the good ones. It's underrated for sure, so I think it deserves an S. Notorious, the Biggie movie, D. And the Tupac one, D. They both have the same problems. Just weird timeline, uninteresting. They don't really capture the soul of the artist really well, and it feels like imitation more than actual representation, in my opinion. So those two, they can bundle up together in D. And yeah, that's all the tier lists I thought of at the time. If you guys have any more artists, the music biopics that I should put on this tier list, let me know where you guys would rank them, and let me know what your guys' list would be. But before I end this video, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. I'm trying to reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers, and then one day become one of the biggest music content creators on the planet, because my stuff is fire, and the only way I can prove that is by your guys' help. So without further ado, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.